Indoctrinated bigots, faithful hypocrites, blinded loyalists, inhumane patriots, self-made, self-loathing slaves of self-entitlement, forever willing accomplices of extinction events, cult-leading president, bleeding residents for more dead presidents, demons of dirt, ghosts of abandoned earth, unwelcome voyagers, ministers of defense that ever gave the orders to slaughter the defenseless. There will be consequences. We are asking for children to no longer fall into the circumference of a sniper's scope, for allies, social status, religion to no longer be given a license to indiscriminately kill, for civilians to no longer fight civilians in the name of greed, of beliefs of godless, godlike governments. We are asking to no longer fight endless, senseless wars that only investors will win, for all colonial outposts to be abandoned, for every territory to be given back, for every settler to unsettle, for every casualty, every crime against humanity, every accomplice, every broken promise, every broken treaty, every act of aggression, every people, every single story never to be forgotten. Before we were Indians, before they made us Christians, before the Bering Straits, before the ghost stories, before being labeled enemies, before the loss of sympathy, before the death of empathy, of humanity, before the argument of who really is God's favorite, cults hold God's hostage. A cursed pride, a false flag, a silent truth, a blue-collar noose, a cultured hate, a fractured fairy tale, a mother's blues, a grandfather's lullaby, a family's cry for help, a little girl's final scream, an American dream's foreign nightmares. Oh, say, can't you motherfucking see the mirage of a disappearing village, an uninvited mining industry, dry dirt deep craters where paradise used to be, forgotten roots never knew by many, strange gods from overseas posts, tribal and hip, Bibles and whips, worship of warships, a husband's ruling fist, a woman's blackened jaw. We are far too busy laughing to hear others crying, far too comfortable with the death of strangers, far too busy, far too lazy, far too distracted, far too tired, far too high, far too divided, far too left, far too right, far too wrong, far too lost, far too close, far too scared to talk, for this is the conversation. How much land must be taken? How many villages must burn? How many more must be assaulted? How many more children must die? How many more invisible fictitious enemies will presidents place before us? How many more civilians succumbing to such fears will continue to follow such a madman? How many will fight with each other but never for each other? How many species must go extinct? How many times must history be rewritten? How many pale complexions must your God be given? How many more wolves will cry victim as fresh flesh drips from their lips? How many lessons to be learned? How many witches must burn? How many points earned to end such an endless vicious game? I turned off the TV, spit out seeds of supremacy, called myself the names I was always called till I became nameless, placed an imaginary gun to my head, pulled the trigger, blew out all untrue thoughts, unlearned everything taught, watched executioners play men of God, generals held peace talks as they would prey upon children. How much more innocent will our next victim need to be?